moss. More moss to the people, yeah, more moss. More moss to the people, yeah, more moss. More moss to the people. Hi, this is Asa Nilsson, and you're listening to More Moss to the People, where each week we're going to be talking about slowing down, even hurling ourselves off of the Ferris wheel of the production first mentality, and choosing to live a courageous life based on our own needs first, and daring to be different in a world where sameness is encouraged more highly than living a life of authenticity. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome back to More Moss to the People. This is Asa Nilsson, and I am your host. This is a place for conversations with cool people that have opted out of the rat race, have chosen to live life on their own terms, maybe stepped out of line, and chosen to take care of themselves first. Most importantly, filling their own cup first. And today we are meeting with Jenny Maxwell, and Jenny is in St. Charles, Illinois. Now, the interesting thing that I think about Jenny is that she is from Ireland and she moved to America 11 years ago. I was in the US and I moved to Sweden 11 years ago. So now we have found one another on LinkedIn, the channel of all channels. And I am so glad that you could join me here today so we can have a little chat about your cool life and how you have come to this place where you're at today. So welcome. And why don't you give us a little bit of an intro of who you are?
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a joy. It's always a joy to speak with you.
Thank you.
Like you said, my name is Jenny Maxwell. And first and foremost, I'm a mother of two boys, Jonah and Danny. Jonah is 18 and he's going to college. Danny is 14 and he's a freshman in high school. And I live here in Chicago, even though I'm from Dublin. And I'm a personal development coach.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been obviously, everything changed for me when I moved to America.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I felt very lost and completely displaced. So rediscovering my life's purpose beyond being, a mom and a wife and everybody's person, which I had inserted myself as everybody's person, everybody needs me out there. Rediscovering that sense of purpose through coaching really changed my whole life. And I'm just so glad that we met one another on LinkedIn. What were the chances?
What are the chances? Well, I've met some interesting people that I think have some life in them there, because that was a very hard social media channel for me to not get involved in, but to actually care about. And I have been on for years, just never really was active. And I didn't really feel the connection with people. And I was really doing a lot around my own personal development and understanding myself, and not really feeling like I could show up as myself in that place. And then I meet people like you. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, she's nice. Nice people do exist out here. Okay, not nice. I mean, there's plenty of nice people, but people who have life in them and share their real stories, which is critical for me, that we share real stories. And the conversation that I saw a couple of weeks ago that was on LinkedIn which really it tugged at my heart, because I realized I'm like, ooh, why is this so important to me right now? And it was after you had been thrown in LinkedIn jail.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was like, yeah. Well, I didn't understand what it meant, because I had never heard of anybody on LinkedIn being thrown in LinkedIn jail. Can you kind of give a little bit of an explanation of how that even happens for people who don't know?
I still don't even know, but I would love to go back to what you said a moment ago about LinkedIn. And the truth is, I felt exactly the same as you. I thought it was a business platform and you had to
Yeah.
show up a certain way.
In a
And for
suit.
months and months and months, I was like following this protocol that I thought I had to be something different on here. And actually, it's just like any other social media platform. When you show up as yourself,
Yeah.
you'll find people like you or people who like you. They
Mm,
like your vibe, like we
mm.
found one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sharing stories and having a laugh is so
Hmm.
important to me. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to do
Me
anything
too.
if it isn't fun. So, discovering people, other people on LinkedIn that are fun and full of life, that was a game changer for me
Mm,
because then I could kind of let go of other people that I just didn't really feel like I was gelling with. I felt
mm,
like it was a round peg in a square hole.
mhm.
I'm trying to fit into something that they're part of, but it's not really my thing. But I was telling myself this is what I should be doing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
for
Me too.
anybody that is like any of your listeners who are interested in, building something on LinkedIn, like just join the community and be yourself. But that would be my note to
Mm,
anybody who's out there listening. Join and be yourself because it is a really great community based platform. There's a lot of great people on there
mm.
until you get slung in jail. So I still don't know what happened, but I do know that there's been a lot of glitching going on LinkedIn.
What
Like
does
even
glitching,
yesterday,
like
glitching
glitches?
where, yeah, it's, where you can't tag people one day, but you could tag them yesterday. And there's, for various reasons, people get sent to LinkedIn jail, I think, for eh, asking for too many connection requests.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's so many
Okay.
weird reasons. But I woke up one morning and created my post and put it on LinkedIn. And I was like, that's weird. There's no impressions. I think there was one impression on my post. Now, I don't have 100,000 followers. I have like
Mm.
3,000 followers, and mostly within about 10 or 15 minutes, there might be 50 or 100 impressions. But the people that usually come and comment on my post, they're there right away.
Uh-huh.
But there
Right.
was nothing. It was like it had just, it was just sitting there in thin air. And I thought, that's really odd. Well, maybe it's a crappy post. That's why I made the decision that
Okay.
maybe nobody's interested in this today.
Mm,
So I carried on. My usual practice is to go back and comment, like respond to comments on previous posts that I might have missed because I care about my community.
yeah.
So I commented and then I went and jumped on other people's posts to engage on their posts. But I was getting like no engagement at all. Not on my post, not on anybody else's post. I felt like this feels really strange. So I closed the laptop because I thought, well, I'm not going to waste any more time on this. I'll just go and do something else. And the
Okay.
next thing, about 90 minutes or 2 hours later, I get a WhatsApp call or WhatsApp message from a connection that I have on LinkedIn. Really nice, very nice guy. He's like, did you block me or something? And I said,
Yes.
what are you talking about?
Yes, I did.
Right? Like, why would I even, what are you talking about? And he goes, your whole profile just disappeared.
Oh, the whole profile was gone.
And I was like, what?
Oh dear.
Now, but the initial feeling was sadness. I thought, like, how sad am I that I'm so sad that my LinkedIn profile has vanished,
Do
right?
you know how much work I put into that?
And I was like, oh my goodness. And then my answer was, no, I didn't block you, you nut. But also, I don't know what to do with that. And I just sent
Yeah.
back a sad emoji because I didn't know what to do.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
And
Yeah.
he said, just contact LinkedIn support. Now, it's funny where your mind goes. You know, first of all, I was like, am I going to lose people
Mhm.
because I'm not posting today? Which is, first of all, ridiculous. That is like just ridiculous.
Ridiculous. That is
We are
ridiculous.
then,
Jenny, come on.
a slave to some
Mhm.
algorithm. You
Right.
hear,
Ugh.
you see these messages online where you've got to be consistent. You've got to post every day. No, you don't. And
No.
by the way, don't post unless it's authentic.
Mhm.
Like, don't
Just to
post
post.
about something you think you should be talking about just because you need to post something.
Mhm.
Like, stay true to yourself. And if you're not feeling it, don't bother. Don't bother that day. Come back another day
Right,
when
because
you're
it's only
feeling
exhausting.
something.
Yeah.
It is so depleting. So I emailed support with zero expectation because I'm thinking, who am I on LinkedIn? And my son at the time, he goes, Mom, that stinks. And I said, well, my expectations are low. Like I have such a low following by comparison to others. He goes, you can still write a crappy review for LinkedIn and they won't want that, Mom. And I was like, that is actually so sweet. He was reminding me that I'm just as important as somebody else.
That's right. You are. Of course you are.
And it turned out I was wrong. So this person got back to me pretty quickly.
Oh.
Right. What I mean is my version of it was that I was wrong.
Oh.
Like I was
Okay.
thinking, well,
Okay.
I'm not as important as somebody else is out
Right. Right.
there.
Of
And
course.
his version was right. So she got back to me with a very lovely email saying, we don't really know what happened. So we're going to send you on to another department. So your call is important to me. Please hold, basically. Right.
Yeah. The
So
music starts.
I made a decision like, you know what, this is totally out of my control. So I'm just going to leave it for today and just see what happens.
What did that feel like to
It
just
felt
leave it?
actually like a relief because all of my Christmas decorations were still up and I was procrastinating on taking them down. Jonah and I had like words in the kitchen over something else, and he was annoyed at me, so he had stropped off to his bedroom. Danny was upstairs too. They hadn't gone back to college or school yet. And I thought, you know what? I may as well put my energy into something useful. And I was amazed at how much I got done.
At
And
home.
what it showed me was how much time and energy I was giving LinkedIn,
I just got chills.
which
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was fascinating. I'm like, oh my goodness, this has actually been a gift. We had 2 trees in the house. I got all of the decorations down, including the outside decorations, which I never take down. I usually leave it for Dave to do, but he was out of town and I knew the weather was it was about to get really, really cold.
Mm.
And I thought, you know what? I'll just do this myself today. I walked the dogs. I cooked. I made soup. I made dinner. I made a date to go and meet with my friend that evening for an hour. And I thought, what else am I doing? Like when I am usually engaging on LinkedIn, how much time and energy am I usually giving it? When there's other stuff, there's actually people in real life that I want to give my time to. There's
Mm-hmm.
stuff I can
Yes.
do beyond this.
Not just in a computer, people in a computer that you don't know halfway across the world.
Right. Because what was happening was I was spending time on LinkedIn and then I have my clients. So they are like each client gets an hour of my time, sometimes 2 hours, depending on what we're working on.
Sure.
So where's the balance? What I noticed was I'm a person who, coaches people on creating balance. And I was completely imbalanced myself.
Yeah.
Now my intention was good.
Mm-hmm.
My intention is to show up because I'm building something.
Right.
So when you attach intention to something, it kind of softens the blow a little bit and it makes you stop. You put a halt to your gallop. You're not saying I should be doing this or I should have done that. You're not shaming yourself in some way.
No.
You're being gentle and you're looking back and thinking, well, if there's an opportunity for change here, what might I do differently going forward? And by the way, this will be a great post. That's what was on my mind.
The next time I get out there, I'm going to make this a real good one. Well, I think we have to, when we get these kind of like tap, 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 right? The taps on the shoulders by universe, by whatever, that's telling you it's time for you to check in, right? Because we do get these taps all the time, whether we pay attention to them or not. And you getting the jail to spend an entire day doing an insane amount of things. I mean, you got a lot accomplished. That was a lot going on in one day there that you got to do. And that's, if we don't take these little moments to recognize that we have an opportunity in front of us to evaluate or reevaluate, how are we spending our time? And that's when I saw this, that you had been jailed. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, yeah, oh my God. Okay. As I'm on 7 different social media channels, posting my podcasts everywhere, doing all the things, contacting everybody, speaking to people here, and I'm like, wait a minute, this goes against everything that my podcast even stands for, and that is to slow down. To slow
Mm-hmm.
down our pace of our lives and connect with ourselves so that we can even understand, what are we doing here? What do I want to create here? And am I happy doing what I'm doing? And I was like starting to get like my shallow breathing again, because I'm like, oh my God, I have to hurry up. I got to get this done. Talking to everybody. I'm like, wait a second. No, I don't. No, I don't. And so
Mm-hmm.
your message was a reminder to me to check in with myself and for me to identify, no, it's feeling like it's too much. I'm doing too much, and this is going against what I stand for. So thank you for you going to jail so that I could learn and be reminded myself, because it's
Right.
important.
Well, it is, and it's interesting. Like we hold a mirror up for one another,
Yes, all the time.
whether we even realize it or not.
Mhm.
Um, and you have such a heightened sense of awareness around how things make you feel and who
Mm,
you are already.
mm.
And so do I.
Yeah,
But it's whether we choose or not,
sure.
or not choose to pay attention to those signals.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there's my shallow breathing.
Uh-huh.
What's causing this? What's missing?
Mm,
Like I like to ask my clients that. What do you think is missing?
mm,
So what emerged for me that day was creativity.
mm,
And I thrive on creativity. But I was so distracted with everything else
mm,
that I hadn't given myself and my brain a chance to slow down and become creative.
mm,
What would I talk about if this was a post?
mm,
Right? What would I
mm,
talk about? Look at all this stuff that I got done. I wonder would anybody like this recipe?
mm. I would.
Right? It was like
Right.
it was that kind of thinking. And that probably seems like so small, but it's those small changes
No, I don't
that
think that's small at
a
all.
big they make a big impact, you know?
Well, it's
Um,
about how do we feel when,
yeah.
like, are we even mindful of the moment that we're in, right?
Hmm.
Or like what we talked about for 45 minutes before we actually hit the record button was the futurescaping, right? The where
Hmm.
if we're always living in the future, like, well, when I do this, then I will, right? Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, all these things are going to somehow miraculously appear in our lives. Well, what if those days never come? What if that time doesn't come? And we are the luckiest we are right in this moment, right now, right here.
Wow. Agreed. In order to experience abundance, we have to notice it.
Yeah, right. Oh, this is an interesting little snippet. A long time ago, I was talking to this person, and here in Sweden, there's really not that much rubbish where I live. And
Oh, look at
sometimes
you.
I know that's a big thing for me. I hate when people just throw things out of their cars and all that. And so I go on this walk out in the country, and here there have these beer cans that you get a crown. Like a crown is a denomination of money here. And so if you turn in this can to the recycling station, you get money back. And I'm like, so I go for my walk, and if I find cans, I'm putting them in my pockets. I'm putting my pants pocket. And I'm walking down the street. I mean, sometimes I find five. And I'm carrying. People think I'm
Hmm.
going for a walk and drinking all this beer. I'm like, whatever. You can think all you want. Like, well, I'm like, if I drank beer, I probably would drink and walk, but no. So I asked this girl. She was walking with me once, and I said to her, "Oh, I'm going to pick up this beer can." She's like, "Why? Why are you picking that up?" I'm like, "Well, because first of all, it's metal and it needs to be picked up. And you also get a crown for it. You get a return of the crown." And she's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." I'm like, "Well, why doesn't it matter?" First of all, the fact that I'm picking up garbage, and the fact that you also get paid by the universe, right? You're getting a return on your
Hmm.
investment directly. And she's like, "No." And I said, "Well, if you were walking down the street, would you, if you found money, if you found a crown, like a crown on the ground, would you pick it up?" She said, "No, probably not." I'm like, "What do you mean? Why wouldn't you pick it up? It's money." And she's like, "Doesn't, I mean, basically, like, it doesn't fold, so I'm not picking it up." I
Oh
was
my
like,
goodness, that's interesting.
"Yes," it says the person that hardly has any money in their bank account. And I said, "Well, what do you think? What kind of a message are you giving the universe? If you cannot
Mm.
respect what you see right in front of you, you're never going to
Hmm.
respect what potentially is going to be coming down the road." Yeah. So she
Yeah.
still didn't get that point. But that wasn't the point. The point was it is still a fact and it is true that if we do not notice today how beautiful this moment is that we are in, to be able to take our Christmas decorations and our trees, our 2 trees and our outside decorations, and take care of the dogs and make soup. I mean, on a day of
Mhm.
all days, like, but we'll sit and spend 4 hours on LinkedIn with people that we're
Mhm.
never gonna meet. I think it's nice to get a
But
little sometimes.
yeah, and I mean, I enjoy my time that I spend on LinkedIn, regardless of whether I meet the person or not.
Mhm,
I
mm,
enjoy the engagement.
mm,
What's appropriate for me, though,
yeah,
is that it is balanced, that I
has to
have
be.
a routine and I stick to it.
Mm,
And my routine changed straight away. By the way,
yeah.
you asked me why I got sent to jail. It turns out it was something to do with emojis being in my name. Now, I'd had emojis in my name. I have the Irish flag and the clover, both sides of my name for months. But for whatever reason, didn't like it that day.
Okay.
And it's not I'm not the only person it's happened to,
Huh.
apparently. Another thing that was funny was when I did my post about it, I had a couple of people comment that I didn't get sent to jail, that's basically discrediting my message,
What does that
saying,
mean?
well, they're not the reasons that you get sent to jail. In other words, you're lying about your make this post is made up. It's like,
What?
well, what is important to you about your comment here?
Yeah.
What does it matter? My profile disappeared, and but thanks for engaging. I'm sorry you don't believe me.
Yeah,
It's
I have
a
nothing better
real
to do than to
thing.
lie. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a yeah, I'm dreaming up posts. But anyway, it was so it turns out it was the so I left the emojis off for a while because when my profile came back on, it was just my name. The emojis
Okay.
were gone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then a few people messaged me and were like, "We're missing the clover. We're missing the clover." So
Where's
I
the
said,
Irish flag?
"Yeah." So I said, "Oh, I'll risk it. I'll risk getting slung back in the slammer. Let's see what
Good.
happens." So
That's good.
the emojis have been reinstated, and so far so good with the jail term. But the glitching on LinkedIn is sometimes like engagement is low, or sometimes you can't tag people. It's, I don't know, I think CNN did a whole thing about it a couple of weeks ago, how there's been
Oh,
so many issues on LinkedIn.
huh.
I mean, like, really, it's a first world problem.
No, oh
Goodness
my God.
sakes.
No kidding, please. Yeah, yeah, that is for sure. Um, we talked about when before I do any kind of a podcast chat with somebody, we always have kind of like a conversation up front. And we talked about something that I think is super important, and that is the pressure of wanting to belong, the
Mm,
need to feel like I can't be an outcast, or I have to be doing like what all the other moms are doing, or I have to be doing what all
mm,
the other coaches are doing online, the virtual coaches, right? Because I trust me, I have fallen so deep into that rabbit hole of like, this is how I'm supposed to do coaching, this is how I'm supposed to do social media posts, la 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 la. Right. I mean,
mm.
while we're figuring it all out. And I want to ask your opinion. Do you think, now that you have been in America for 11 years, do you perceive yourself as being different, more different now, as far as that is concerned, than what you were like when you were in Ireland? Do you notice any difference?
When it comes to, so what specifically are
With
you asking me? Do I notice
the
a difference
pressure
in?
of belonging, like, to feel like you have to be a part of something, like, here, like, to be walking down the street, and I wanna be looking like all my friends, I gotta have the Uggs and the Louis Vuitton bags, I need to have, we all eat the same, we dress the same, we drive the same cars, we go to the same school, our kids do the same sports, we have
Mm.
husbands that, you know, whatever they're doing. Like, that type of having to belong in society, or to belong in the group, do you feel that is the same or different for you now? Or is it because you have grown as a human being also in how you are now?
Well, as a recovering people pleaser, I
Yes,
don't,
me too.
right?
Well,
I
trying to recover.
Yeah, well, look, we're all a work in progress.
Mm.
I think what I've noticed is because this has come up twice this week, which is interesting. Well, society says this, and I'm like, well, when it comes to belonging, it's a self-imposed pressure.
Mm.
And it says something about us not belonging with ourselves first if
First,
we
yeah.
think we've got to fit in somewhere else.
Mm.
So a friend of mine asked me, she doesn't have any kids, and what she noticed when she was over here a few years ago was the constant comparisons being made by other mothers about their kids. So I fell into that trap in America, but I think I had already fallen into that trap in Ireland too. I don't think it's just in one country.
It's
I think it's a global thing, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Um, and she said, "When does that competition kind of start? Like, when does all that comparison start?" And I said, um, "The day they're born."
Mm.
And she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And like, and in fact, if I could go back and talk to her again about it, I'd say it starts pretty much the moment you say you're pregnant.
Mm. The
The
comparison
moment that you're
starts.
say the comparison starts.
Mm.
But for me, what I noticed was like almost as soon as Jonah was born, people were asking, "Is he sleeping through the night?" And it kind of it evolved from there. By the way, he didn't sleep through the night till he was 5,
Oy.
so
My
I
goodness.
already felt less than as a mother because I had a kid with colic who
Mm.
cried all the time.
Mm.
He didn't sleep until he was 5. I had postpartum depression, and
Mm.
I didn't really recognize that something was very wrong until 18 months later.
Mhm.
I just knew that everybody else seemed to have everything together. Whether they were all playing pretend, I don't
Mhm.
know. But for me, I felt all I felt was less than.
Mm.
And that less than feeling stayed with me because it had already been there.
Mhm.
I already felt less than as an
Mm.
actor
Yeah.
in that career. I felt less than as a child because I was a very average student. I felt less than in my dance class because I couldn't pick up the dance routines on the day that they were given. It would always take me 4 or 5 days to get them. So I have felt less than my whole life.
Mm.
So that belonging piece, I never really felt at peace with being me anyway.
Mm.
So I put that pressure on me to, I suppose, conform
Mm.
and be somebody that I thought other people wanted me to be.
Mhm.
And I spent most of my life living that way. So that pressure I put on myself.
Mhm.
Now, what changed was a couple of years ago, really, volunteering in my community and giving my time for somebody else. What I noticed was, gosh, there was such less pressure. I'm not like telling somebody what to do here. I'm asking somebody what they need help with, and I'm helping them either source the right non for profit to support them, or I'm helping them connect with the right person for them. But it's on their terms. It's not me.
Mm.
Here's what you should do, which was my
Mhm.
habit.
Yeah. Mm.
That was my way of belonging, was that I was the problem solver.
Hmm.
I'll jump in, even if you're not asking me, I'm going to jump in and tell you what I think you should be doing,
Mm.
which causes resentment on both
I
sides.
recognize
I
that
feel,
behavior.
oh, come on. I mean, it's true for most of us, you know. When we recognize it, though, we
Yeah.
have the power to own it and change it.
Yeah, that's right.
So for me, that's when I became curious about coaching. And then when I started going through the program, you know this, like we're
Mm.
our own first client,
For sure.
my circle got really small
Mm.
because I realized how much time and energy I was giving to other people's expectations,
Yeah. Yeah.
how much of myself I was giving, and how little I actually knew what made me happy,
Mm.
how little I knew about me.
Yeah.
And then when you look across the time of line that has been your life and you notice, oh, that belonging, that started way back when I was little. That
Mm.
that not enoughness,
Yep.
that feeling less than, that I had to be a certain way to make other people happy.
Mm.
That started way, way, way back for me as a very small child. And those behaviors and habits formed as a result of those little stories that I told myself to try and make myself belong somewhere,
Yeah.
at school, at
Little
home.
Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I could scoop that little one up
Mm.
now and say to her, you know, it's going to be all right.
Yep.
You're going to do great.
Mhm.
Be yourself.
Better than great. That's right.
Be yourself.
Yeah. Learn that lesson. I mean, that's what
Yeah.
I think about, when I think about young people today. I recorded my podcast for this Friday by myself today, and I was talking a lot about this, about childhood and, how we identify and how
Mm,
do we feel we just want to belong so badly. I just wanted to be like everybody else and just be
yeah.
included. That was my biggest thing. And for young people today, like if I could give my young self like just like a picture into my grown self, and that would definitely be that you're not as different as you think you are. You are included, you do matter, and everything is going to be fine. You're going to be fine, and you're
Mm,
going to grow into be a loving, kind, and gentle adult, even with the wanting to fit in so badly and doing the
mm,
dance and like the performance, constant performance, and being
mm,
able to pick up on everybody else's energy so fast so that everybody else felt good. Because if everybody else felt good, then the peace was kept. Now
mm-hmm.
at 55, still doing all that. Still, those are still personality traits that are inside of me. But now I recognize, whew, I don't have to. I don't have to do that to belong anymore because I have to belong to me first.
Yeah,
Have
that's
to
so
belong to
true.
me first. All right, girl. I am. I'm trying to keep track of timing for you because I know you gotta go. You got a client. So we're gonna jump off. Thank you for your time, your beautiful thoughts, and your your viewpoints. I think that you're a super interesting person, and I appreciate you taking the time today.
I loved every minute of this.
Mm,
And, side
thank
note,
you.
when you're different, you stand out because you're different. We're all unique. We
Mm,
all belong.
yep.
We are all worthy
Yes,
of
we are.
happiness.
Yeah, that is
It's
for
been an
sure.
absolute gift to spend my morning with you. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Hopefully you can come back. Come back another
I would
time
love
and we
that.
can talk. We'll talk more another time. You get out of here and and we're going to add all of your social media channels and your website and all that kind of stuff so that people can know how to find you and to find out more about what you offer in the world and how you work.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you
great
very
day.
much. Thank you. You do the same. We'll talk to you hopefully next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of More Moss to the People. I am Asa Nilsson. If you like this episode, I'd love to hear from you. Like, subscribe, follow the podcast, share it with a friend. I want to say thank you to Kamel Asli for his help with the production of this podcast. Without him, this would not even be in your ears today. I can assure you of that. And let me say a little something about my friend Gregory Paul Donaldson, may he rest in peace, who would always leave me with this quote. He would say, "In the meantime and between time, whatever you do it well, and then pass it on. Peace, and most importantly, joy." I want to leave you with that as well. I'll see you on the flip side, my friend. Take care.